Welcome to episode 1 of Wii60 Podcast, the official podcast of Wii60.com.
Hello and welcome again to the Wii60 Podcast, the official podcast of Wii60.com. My name is Jerry, aka Jerbol from the forums, and I'm your host. And joining me, my co-host and my number 2, if you will, Brian, aka Big Lou.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. Will you be my number 2?
Oh, I'll be your number 2. I would like to be your number 1, but we'll work on that.
Do you have a number 1? Oh, wait, I thought I was number 1.
You know what? I don't like to hear that, man. That's discouraging to me.
So, actually, you're saying that I'm the captain then, and then you would be number 1.
I'll be the number 1, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's how it's going to work.
I didn't want to assume the position of captain, and, I figured I would just... Okay, all right, well, that's fine. So, you're my number 1 then.
Gotcha.
All right, sounds good. So, this is...
But now, who's my number 2 going to be?
We'll have to figure something out.
All right.
We'll get some little bit somewhere, and we'll throw him in the show, and he'll be your number 2. And we'll figure it out. All right, so this is the Wii60 show, and before we get into it, let's just kind of introduce ourselves and what our creds are as far as gaming and whatever else. How about you go first, Big Lou?
Alright, well, yeah, I'm Big Lou from the forums, pretty regular on the forums. I actually like Wii60.com a lot. It's really abundant source of information, a really good community. I can see this growing into something huge in the matter of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're already at, 511 members as of now. Mm-hmm. I can see that getting up to at least 1,000 in a couple of weeks, many thousands. Anyways, what I'm about is... most of my life I've been interested in technology, video games, graphical design, stuff like that. Speaking of video games, actually got me into my career choice, which is graphical design. I'm an internship for a multimedia production company.
Which should come in handy for the show.
Oh, it really should come in handy. Hopefully.
I'm hoping.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting because actually, since I've been very into video games, I got into the video game community, the online communities, and that's where I actually started because you'd see there's on pretty much every forum there's a Photoshop or picture video forum on the website.
Right.
And that's actually exactly how I got into graphical design.
All right.
So I owe pretty much my life decision to video games.
All right.
Sounds kind of sad and pathetic, but you know what I'm saying.
No, it's a little corny, but at the same time, it's poetic and beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
So now, how's your, gaming? What are your preferences in gaming right now? What are you playing? What are you enjoying?
Well, I have to say that pretty much overwhelming amount of time video games is spent on Halo 2. I know that's frowned upon by a lot of people, but
it depends.
I like the game, but actually, I've really rehashed my passion for Nintendo 64. I've just recently started playing that again. I actually just beat GoldenEye for the first time on 007, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Very cool. Now, that's funny because earlier today I was playing Super Smash Bros. On the original 64 with my little brother.
What a great game.
Yeah, it is a great game. That's just kind of funny. All right, well, that sounds good. I guess it's my turn.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's see, creds. Let's see. First of all, as far as the show goes, this will be the first and last time I mention it because I don't want to be, a little spammer. But I do have an actual video game podcast where we discuss all the video game, and not just video games, but video game culture, things that video gamers have in common that they enjoy. I've been running that show. It's called J&J VGA. I've been running that for about half a year now, so I have a lot of experience with editing, and I'm working on my my radio personality, if you will, so bear with me on that. Try to leave out as many ums and you knows and as
like
possible.
Totally is.
Yeah, I'm trying to, tone those down because, they just come out. But other than that, as far as gaming goes, if I was ever a fanboy, I probably was a Sega Dreamcast fanboy. I mean, I loved the Dreamcast, and I'm still in denial about it being dead. So just so everyone knows, I'm not a Nintendo fanboy or 360 fanboy or Sony. I'm usually unbiased as far as all that goes. That's pretty much about it. Right now, what I'm playing is Tetris DS a lot. And I just got table tennis for 360 I'm checking out. And I have an old-time favorite game that I always come back to, which is Warcraft 3.
Warcraft 3.
Yes.
Wow, that is the game that possesses my friends' souls. I have to...
Really?
Yeah, so they love that game. I have to make sure that they stay away from that game. Yeah. It's crack to them.
In particular, I really enjoy the mod called Dota. So,
yeah.
I know there's actually some people in the Wii60 community that are familiar with that. In fact, Razoric.
I think he is, actually. Been reading up on his interest in that.
Yeah, so that's me. That's what I'm all about.
That's you. Gaming. What a great guy.
Yeah. So, just real quick, what is it about the Wii60 community that you're attracted to? I think you kind of mentioned on it first, but let's just recap. Why are you here?
Why am I here? It's because of the people. They share my exact beliefs. It's not that we hate PlayStation 3. I think that a couple of people actually on here do, but it's more the fact that Sony, who has actually been part of our lives with the original PlayStation and PlayStation 2, which were great consoles, by the way, have started to kind of boast themselves, get full of themselves, and started to lie to us, and it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, they've started going on and on about how better they are than everyone else, and it's just like, I don't want to hear it.
I feel like I'm watching that press conference. You almost feel like you're being looked down upon by businessmen instead of being talked to on an equal level by gamers. Of course, Peter Moore, he's a businessman, and Reggie, he's a businessman, but they understand, at least pretend to understand, what gamers want as far as the majority. I'm not going to complain about being able to play DVDs on my 360. I'm not going to complain about having a slideshow on it. That's great. But Sony is making us pay almost a third of the cost of the machine goes towards something that almost none of us want. We don't give a crap about Blu-ray. We don't care.
It's going to be so far down the line where Blu-ray is actually important. We don't even know if Blu-ray is going to be the next standard. Right. I mean, there's HD, DVD, and who knows what else is going to be coming up. There might be some energy-based, I don't know, platform. But I mean, it's just ridiculous.
We're going to have holograms and stuff.
Yeah, they're using this to, usher their TVs and DVDs into our homes.
It's called a market push. That's all they're doing. They're trying to make people buy their HD TVs that have their plugins that they use and that use the standard Blu-ray format. And it just feels like we, as gamers, have been an afterthought, which is just the feeling we get. It may not end up being like that. And the Sony PlayStation 3 will be successful. But I'm going to go off into a rant here. Fact of the matter is, I'm here because I just don't like the way Sony's been treating us, and it's unfortunate because they were a very healthy competition for the market, and it seems now that they have kind of segregated themselves into something that none of us like. So there you go.
Speaking of segregation, they're trying to elevate themselves on a level that's way beyond what they should be. They're thinking themselves as the sole owner of the video game market. That Nintendo and Microsoft are actually just kind of lower levels. You know, they got some great ideas here and there, but they're nothing like PlayStation.
Right. That's what it feels like anyway. So that's why we're here, and hopefully many of you, and I know many of you, do share the same thoughts. We're not here to hate on Sony and bash on them whenever it's not deserved, but when it is deserved, we'll hand it out, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
And we're hoping that a couple, PlayStation fanboys stumble upon the show and
I
realize
would love to have them on the show, actually.
Well, it would help if they realize that the Wii60 is actually probably a better alternative, not only just money-wise, but you're getting a lot of the same things that the PlayStation 3 has, and more.
Yeah. Well, and I think that any PlayStation fanboy or Sony fanboy right now, they got a tough job and they have a lot of faith. So
yeah,
you got to give them
you got to give them
for that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about we talked a little bit about what the show's about. Obviously, our feelings towards Sony and its overall our outlook on next generation console gaming. That being the Wii, Nintendo Wii, the Microsoft Xbox 360, and the PlayStation 3. And that's pretty much it. Those are the competitors, and that is the console war. Those are the three sides. And so that's what the show is about. It's about next generation console gaming. And we may be a little biased towards Wii60, but that's just because of our feelings towards Sony. So let's go ahead and talk about what people can expect on our show.
So what we are is this show is going to be linked strictly to the Wii60.com forums. We're going to actually, dissect every thread that we can. We're going to find any input that will be of help to this show, and we'll share that input. And we would like to get as much, feelings from you guys onto the show. So if you have any suggestions, any complaints, actually, we would like that.
Of course.
Go ahead and send it in to us. But also, we're going to have a lot of feedback opportunities for the community, including polls. We're going to have a couple of little reports that you guys can put in your own thoughts into.
All right.
But
and you may be on the show without even planning on it. We just may say, hey, this guy made a good comment.
Exactly. I hope you guys don't mind. We will be pretty liberal with giving out your guys' comments, and we will use your forum name, so don't worry, your actual identity is going to be protected, unless, of course, you tell us ahead of time that it's fine. But, we are a representative, a voice of the Wii60.com forum and the website, obviously, so we will be shedding some light on the rest of the world, what the viewpoints of the Wii60.com forum members are.
Right. And so if you are listening to this and you aren't currently a member of Wii60.com, which is probable because this will be aggregated to the iTunes directory, maybe some other podcast directories. So if you're coming in and you want to be part of the show, it's as easy as registering at Wii60.com and just making some posts, and there you go, and you're in.
Definitely, man.
So what we're trying to do, we're trying to make this almost a panel where you say something on the forums, we talk about on the show, and then we go back to the forums and we continue the discussion. And I think that it's going to be a great community, and it will definitely have a lot of interest. And the best thing about it is that you are involved, and we're just here to voice it, but you actually are the guys who provide most of the content. So it's up to not just me and Brian, but it's up to all of us to make this a good and informative show for everyone else.
See, there you go. I just found my number 2 there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's everyone on here. Yeah, exactly. They're my number 2. So you guys better not let me down.
Well, then
right?
I retract
I'm gonna need some help out.
I retract the bitch statement earlier then. All right, so that is it. We will not go too much on this. You'll all get to know us a little bit better as we do more shows. Hopefully that is the case. So let's move on to the Wii news.
Everyone ask yourself this. Are we ready for Wii news? Nintendo Wii. Well, first off, we have some pretty interesting news. It's more of a leak. It's not actually, completely true.
It's maybe kind of, sort of. It's very probable, but not official.
But what it is the pricing.
Right.
The Wii pricing. And what a lot of people are saying is either $250 or under $250, which, I'm hoping for. I'm actually pulling for $199.95 or less.
There was an article actually on IGN that we'll reference to where it says, Nintendo, quote, under $250, which didn't actually say it's going to be $250. They said it would be under $250, which means the system could be $249.99 and technically be cheaper than $250, which they go on to talk about that, and they had some interesting comments. The one guy said the only reason I could see it going for $250 would be if there's a pack-in game or 2 controllers or HD support. Now, HD support's probably not likely, but
that is out of the question.
Yeah. the pack-in games would be great. That would be, again, Nintendo disrupting the market by having pack-in games, which no console, I don't think, especially not recently, has had a pack-in game with an actual launch system. So that would be interesting, and it would be worth it then if it was $250 to have a couple games. That would be nice, and maybe even an extra controller. I wouldn't complain about that at all.
Well, you see, that's actually why I did buy my GameCube originally. It was because it was packed in with the game with Zelda. So I think that's a great idea. But I also think that Nintendo should, borrow kind of the strategy of Microsoft and PlayStation and go with the dual price.
Yeah,
strategy.
Why not? Everyone else.
I mean, it's not just because everyone else is. It's actually a pretty smart idea. It gets the hardcore gamers and the casual, even non-gamers that Nintendo's that's what they're going for. They're going for everyone here. Well, and I think that one pricing strategy may kind of discriminate against one or the other.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to see, just some regular guys or a regular family who isn't into video games going to spend $250 on a gaming system, which they are not, they're not into that. And $200 seems like a nice, well-rounded price for someone to spend.
See, that's true.
For me, anyway.
And actually, some of the criticism about the $199.95 price or something like that is that $199 actually sounds about $100 cheaper than $250, even though it's only $50. It's just because of that one in front of it. It just sounds so much cheaper, and I think that will actually attract the non-gamers,
the non-gamers, which is what
the
they're
moms
going for.
And the dads, the people that don't actually go out and buy video games. They're going to be attracted to that price, and hey, this might be fun, with me and my friends. I'm going to have people over, so I might as well get this.
And then for guys like us, for guys and girls like us, who are expecting some gaming, that we're ready for some games, they could go for a $250 price point and give us a little bit more for our value.
Exactly, including maybe even just a game. Even if it's one of their first-party, smaller games like the Wii Sports. Yeah. That looks like a lot of fun.
Just pack it in. It's something to do.
That is definitely something that's going to, encourage me to buy a more expensive system.
And that'd be great because it's a game that's going to appeal to non-gamers, so that whenever you have a family get-together at your house and you go, hey, check this out, guys, and your grandma's sitting there playing tennis, on the Wii, that's going to sell the Nintendo, because it's a game that people can identify with. If you packed it with, say, Zelda Twilight Princess, which would be great for us, but in reality, Grandma's not going to stand there and play Zelda Twilight Princess, or Grandpa, or whoever you have at the house. But tennis or baseball, people can immediately identify with. So I think that
pick up and play games.
Yeah, I think it would be smart for them to do that, because I think in the long run it would actually sell them more systems. That viral marketing. So anyway, I think that's a great point. Now let's go ahead. We actually made a poll topic about this, didn't we?
Yes, we did actually. We actually recently asked on our forums, Nintendo Wii. It was jumped the gun by saying officially, but the Nintendo Wii will probably cost around $250. What did you guys think about the price?
Right.
Now, a majority of the people actually said that it is just right. In fact, 0 people said that it is too cheap. So no one's actually expecting this to be $300, $350. So that's what I expected.
I actually liked your last one there, too. That's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that. But first off, too expensive. About 35% of the people think it's too expensive. And their main complaint is exactly what we were just covering. Some of the people that aren't going to be ones rushing out to buy video games. They're not going to...
PU, this guy, exactly what I just said. He thinks that the Wii will be less... He will be less because he doesn't know any non-gamer that would pay that price. And, that's exactly what we were saying earlier. I'm sorry.
And Razorick actually brings up a pretty interesting point that the $249 is actually getting pretty close to the 360 core pack. Mm-hmm. And, there is a really technologically, there is a pretty dramatic increase in power for the 360, even just the core pack over the...
Right. So, especially the whole HD thing,
Exactly.
It'd be nice to have at least $100 spacing there.
Yeah. But also our last option would be I would sell my left hand to get my hands on a Wiimote. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Actually, about 20% of the users actually said that they would take that. So a lot of people are actually looking like
those are the fanboys.
Nintendo fanboys. Exactly. They're the ones that are going to buy it, even if it's what Sony would price it at.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You got to have the faith. So, that's great. Now, there is some other actually well thought out comments here. What BSG was saying, he says that he was talking about the Wii being as powerful as the Xbox One, and the Xbox One is $99.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point.
$99. So, you're spending $250 on a machine that's, as far as power wise, is only a little bit better than a $99 machine. Of course, that's obviously.
That's not exactly Nintendo's strategy. They're going more for the gameplay than
and
the
functionality too. I mean, we have the little brain fart here. We had the online download service.
Yeah.
What was that? The Connect 24.
The Wii Connect 24.
Yeah, Wii
There's
Connect
also the Virtual Console, which is actually the ability to download all those games and play them.
So in their favor, of course, they can charge more than $100.
Yes.
But he's saying a price from $159 to the maximum of $199. He's saying $199 should be the maximum price for the Wii. So I wonder if he's talking about if that's including pack-in games or not.
I don't know.
Maybe he can reply to that later. But is that $199 with pack-in games, or $199 just bare straight up? You got a Nintendo Wii and you got a controller, and that's it. It'd be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they pack this, and then if they're going to do the multi SKU and have two different versions, that'll be interesting.
That's what I'm hoping for.
So, and of course we have our input there on the forums, and we really appreciate that. Thanks for voting in our poll.
Yeah, guys, that's really great that you guys are actually being a part of this, and not only just in these polls, but in all of our podcast topics. You guys are really helping us out, so thank you.
Thanks a lot, and that's what it's all about. So, what is next on our list? Well, first of all, hands down, price point. What's your opinion? I actually didn't get your opinion on that exactly.
My opinion on when I voted was that it's just right, because you have to understand that there's a lot going on, not just in the power of the computer parts, but it's the first console that has Bluetooth standard. It has the ability to download all these classic games that I've grown up and loved.
Right.
And also just the controller. I mean, the controller is so amazing that I think $250 will be worth it. That's just my opinion, but I do see the fact that it may be a little too expensive for the non-gamers or casual gamers.
Right.
So basically what I'm getting at is I hope for a dual price strategy, but if not, I do think it is a good price.
Okay, I think it's a reasonable price. I will definitely pay $250, but I actually have to say I think it's too expensive for the amount of time they spent focusing on non-gamers this. It's not about being a gamer. It's about feeling and all this stuff. It's not about graphics and stuff. Yet they're going to charge $50 less than an actual next generation machine with good graphics. And I understand your point, but people aren't going to see, how many people actually know what Bluetooth does and what it is. I'm sure probably more people know what Bluetooth is and they play games, but they can't be that much. Soccer moms aren't going to know what Bluetooth is. And they
soccer moms have no idea what any of this technology is. They're going to look for purely what's going to be appealing
what they
to them,
can actually play. And they're not going to care about retro downloads. So I think that it may be too expensive as far as the general market, but it's just right for me. But it's hard to look at from different perspectives. And Nintendo, they always make profit. So
Nintendo is the only company that has consistently made profit. They've always turned a profit. It's always their first party support. So I'm interested to see what kind of games they are gonna, make to make this $250 maybe price worth it.
Yep. So let's go ahead straight from the price point. These kind of tied in the price point to the release. Let's go ahead and jump to the release. Yeah, the Wii release date. What do we got in the rumor mill here?
Well, Cubed, it's actually a pretty credible Nintendo source, actually has announced that, according to an industrial source, Nintendo Wii is set to launch in Thanksgiving period of USA. and that's anywhere around November 23rd. But what they're actually saying is that Nintendo isn't, they're not planning on releasing it November 6th. That's their goal. So the goal is around November 6th.
All right. So far in our heads, we have November 6th, $250, possibly. Possibly. Around then.
I think this is a pretty important date to get around November. I think any later than that, you would miss the ability to hype up your product before the holiday season. And a lot of people actually do buy for the holiday season way in advance in the November months.
Right.
And so marketing towards these early shoppers will definitely help increase their gain on the competition.
You would hate to see it fall into, February or March and then miss out on all those sales.
Exactly.
So we'll see how it goes. Well,
but I also hope they don't rush the product, because I know that actually some of the technology, they're actually still improving the controllers. Like
right.
Look from 3 months ago to just E3 just a couple weeks ago, the controllers were actually almost completely redesigned with new buttons, new features, and also that new speaker.
Right, exactly. So I was actually getting ready to say that. So, it's always a balance. It's always a mix of good and bad. And, we want it as soon as possible. But at the same time, we want a good product, so it's worth the wait. We've been going for a while now, so how about we give these guys a break? And we'll be back with you in a minute with news for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3.
You're listening to Wii60 Podcast, the official podcast of Wii60.com.
All right, and we're back. Joining me once again, Brian. How you doing?
Hello.
How was your break?
Oh, I'm doing good, man.
Okay.
I had a pretty nice nap there.
Good. Excellent. I got myself another beer, and we're going to move on with the Xbox 360 news.
We're going to take a 180 to cover the 360. Xbox 360.
Yes.
So number one on our list here, it has been talked about a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it just because it applies, and I'm anticipating it eagerly, is the dashboard update.
Yes,
with
the dashboard.
Xbox 360. So as everyone knows, the dashboard is the integrated menu system that runs on the 360. It has all those features like, the Xbox Live Arcade and all your system settings and music and all your management for your files. And it's got a lot of goodies on there.
It's a really intuitive system, I really like the presentation that they put. They really took the time to make it presentable to people that aren't exactly tech knowledge or tech savvy, I should say.
Nice little blade system. And so the wonderful thing about the dashboard is that it is easily updatable, and they talked about doing 2 updates a year, 2 major updates. They said they were going to do a spring update and a fall update every year for the dashboard. So the first one's coming up. This is technically the spring update. I listened to, if you have a chance, check out Major Nelson, his last podcast. He talked about in depth, and he actually interviewed one of the guys, the PR that's in charge of all that. And there's tons of features coming out, but it's coming out soon. So let's just go ahead and talk about the features that are coming out that we're looking forward to. Anything that strikes your interest there?
Well, one thing that I'm actually really interested in is the new Xbox Live Marketplace. They're actually cleaning it up and making it easier to go through. And they have a lot of interesting categories. But one thing that interests me the most is the gaming community category, which actually allows for machinima producers to upload their own machinimas so that everyone else on Xbox Live can download it. Like Red vs. Blue, they're going to have a lot of machinima stuff on there. But something that interests me is the fact that since I do create machinimas myself, I will be able to upload to a much larger audience and hit thousands and thousands of people. But something that's really intuitive is the fact that they're also thinking about maybe including RSS feeds, including podcasts, like what we are doing.
Video and audio, RSS casts, which would be excellent because you hit that larger audience, and if it's an audio podcast, you just download it and you hop on to whatever game you're playing, say it's Graw or whatever, or table tennis, and while you're playing table tennis, you listen to us talk about, Wii60.
Exactly.
You can listen to it while you're in game. It seems to make perfect sense to me. So hopefully we'll see that, and hopefully it won't be too strict to get your content on there, which there's so much out there, and bandwidth is so expensive. You never know. They may have a strict system to getting on there. So
they could have some type of review system where you have to submit it and it gets reviewed by peers before it could be submitted. But one thing I do like about that is that it allows people to automatically get into the mainstream where they might not have a community to support them or back them up. They might just be a couple of friends that want to voice their opinion, but they don't have the ability to put it out there.
Right. Yeah.
But this will allow them to anyone to look through and find something that they're interested in and download it. So
Definitely.
I mean that'll be great for people just starting up in the podcast.
Yeah, a great vehicle.
Wii60.com.
Yep. Now, but if all of a sudden we start sweet talking Xbox, it's because we're trying to get on there. No, not really. Actually, we tell it how it is. We keep it real here.
Don't worry, Microsoft. The fruit basket's actually in the mail.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas cards are already on the way.
Now, I know you're very interested. You're excited about this new update. Why don't you tell us what you're into?
The background downloading manager is excellent, because this is probably one of my major complaints with the system, is that whenever you download something, you can't do anything else. You can't even chat with somebody. You can chat with them if you already engaged the chat beforehand, but you can go, hey, someone just logged in. I'm going to go ahead and invite them to chat while I'm downloading this. That way I have something to do, and you can't even do that. It cancels your download whenever you go to invite them. So this is going to allow you to download games in the background. You can play games. You can, and now if it's a multiplayer game online, it will actually suspend the download, but you can play it offline just fine. You can chat, you can do anything you want as long as it's not compromising the bandwidth. So as long as you're not playing a multiplayer game, you can download whatever you want. And not only that, but you can schedule up to 6 downloads. So you start it, you go to work, you come back, and all your downloads there, all your trailers, your demos, whatever you wanted.
That's a great idea.
As we know, some of those demos are kind of big.
Oh, yeah, they're big, and, a lot of people would rather just download them maybe in the middle of the night or during the day when they're at work, so they don't have to be there. And, when some of those people with really busy schedules, they don't have that time to waste by downloading the stuff. They'd rather, use their precious time to play the video games.
Exactly.
That's why they got the 360. So this is definitely a great update.
Yeah, this is
a lot more user friendly.
I don't know why it wasn't there to begin with, but it's great that they're fixing it. Oh, yeah. They have some DVD playback improvements. Another thing that actually, it's very, very little, but whenever you play it enough, it becomes annoying. And I like this. You can set an option to where when you turn on your 360, it doesn't boot up the game. It goes straight to the Xbox
so
dashboard.
Many times do I just want to mess with the settings and not play the game, and then you have to go through the menus and everything like that.
So what's lovely is that now I can be even more lazy. I never have to get up. The game I'm playing, I just keep it in there, and I can turn it on, and I don't have to worry about getting up to open the disc tray. What's great about that is that you can load into the dashboard right away, and then if you want to play the game that's in there, you just hit play the game. Mm-hmm. What will happen at other times is that the game will load up, and you have to wait a couple minutes for your little guide button to pop up so you can go to the dashboard. So anyway, it's a very little thing, but after a certain period of time, it gets annoying. It should be available. Should be available. So it's great. And that's, there's a lot of updates. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're not going to talk about all of it, but we'll put a link in the show notes on the forums so you can check that out and you drool all over all the updates.
Definitely.
What's next, Brian?
Yeah, what do we got next? We got analysts are actually predicting that Microsoft may actually enter the handheld market with a next generation Microsoft handheld. No words as to if this is going to be a gaming handheld. It may be just a multimedia handheld, but they are definitely saying that it is more than just a possibility.
Yeah, well, why not? Sony tried it, and
not with too much success, though.
No.
But I think that since Microsoft has had the advantage to stand back and see what Nintendo and Sony have done, they have the advantage to be able to build something that already will have the good features and will leave behind the stuff that isn't needed.
Yeah.
Cut away the fat. It's actually expected to have $3 billion annually by 2008 from Sony and Nintendo active in the portable game console market. And so Microsoft has an interesting approach to get into this huge money-making possibility. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft has actually stated that even if they have to spend millions and millions, maybe even up to $4 billion in losses before they start seeing gains, it's actually still a better investment to force your way into the industry.
And it's all about domination, that world domination.
It is, and Bill Gates has stressed that before, especially with the original Xbox, by actually putting millions and millions of dollars of his own money into the production of the console. And it obviously has shown that it helps. And them buying out other studios like Bungie. Bungie is pretty much the reason why the Xbox really took off with the original Halo. And, Bill Gates saw something exciting and he decided to buy it out, and it really helped him out. And so they might approach it like that, but it probably will be first party. Xbox, or not Xbox, but Microsoft will probably, start this up outright through their own company. It
would be really cool to see, again, more competition for the handheld market. Can't be a bad thing. I just hope it's good. And the thing is that I love this kind of stuff. I love gadgets. And
I love them too.
Yeah, I mean, I have my complaints about the PSP, but I had a lot of fun with my PSP, with homebrew and stuff.
There's so much to do with it, yeah. You could download all those
I love it.
Utilities and hacks and stuff like that.
It's great.
It's pretty interesting stuff with it. But yeah, Microsoft, they've had some really nice consoles, and obviously they're really good with the software department with their games and obviously the operating systems. So I'd like to see what they could do with this.
They interpret the vision of the 360 into a handheld. I could see it doing very well. And when it comes right down to it, they have lots of money. If you have lots of money, that's
definitely key.
You can make as many mistakes as you want because you'll eventually get it right. You just need enough money, and they have it. Like you're saying, they bought Bungie. People said, "Oh, Microsoft, they don't have third-party support," so they went around buying up. Or I'm sorry, they didn't have first-party support, so they went around buying other companies, and now it's first-party. So, like Bungie,
that's their answer.
That's their answer. Well, now we don't have our own, but we'll just buy other companies, and then we can just tell them what to do, and now we have first-party support. So, there you go. Microsoft, they have lots of money, and it'll be interesting to see how they spend it. Next,
this is actually a pretty interesting topic. Kind of strikes me a little harshly, but the fact is that Microsoft is starting to end backwards compatibility in their new games. Now, I think it's a little surprising because their actual goal last year, E3, if you remember, that every Xbox title will be backwards compatible. That was their promise. And now they're kind of coming back on that and saying that, we're not going to support every game. But it is understandable because, as they have said and as I've experienced, a lot of people don't really care that some of these games aren't actually backwards compatible.
Right.
And to be honest, most of the important games like your Halo 2 and your Halo and your other first-person shooters and racing games, they're already supported on Xbox 360. It doesn't mean that these games will no longer work with the 360. It's just that no newer games will be supported.
Right. The back compat team has to go find new jobs.
Well, hey, they can work for Sony or Nintendo because they're looking for ultimate backwards compatibility with every game.
Those guys are smart. They have a hard job to get. They have completely different chipsets that they have to emulate, and from a technical standpoint, it's hard. So I think Microsoft will be holding on to those guys for other things. But those guys, they had a hard job. And they always got a lot of heat about the Barbie horse adventure. You kind of feel sorry for them. I mean,
that was a good game. Yeah. I don't want to hear it. That was a phenomenal game.
Hands down, that needed to be backwards compatible. I needed Barbie horse adventure on my 360.
That's the reason I bought my 360 was to see Barbie horse adventure in full high definition support.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, yeah. All right, that's enough of that. How about we move on to the PlayStation 3 news?
At least PlayStation 1 and 2 were good. This is news for PlayStation 3.
Oh, we're going into the forbidden sector, huh?
Yeah, yep, the forbidden zone. Here we go. Let's talk about, this was a rumor that went around, and it's been around before, and it came around again, and it's just fun to talk about it because of how screwed Sony would be if they did it. But they probably, they're saying they won't. But there is this whole issue with licensing. People are saying, no, you won't be able to, PlayStation 3, the way they're going to license their games, you won't be able to buy used games. You won't be able to sell used games. You won't be able to rent games. Once you buy a game, you own it, and no one else can use it.
Well, it's not actually the person owns it. It's actually what some of the rumors were saying is that PlayStation 3 owns it.
Right, that system.
You just own the rights to play the game.
Right, what you do is you buy the rights to play it. Mm-hmm. But the game's actually owned by, that's correct. You don't own the game, you just get to play it. So you actually own a license that allows you to play it. And in that way, you can't sell that license. The game belongs to them, and you're stuck with it. So there's no games to sell, there's no games to trade in, and there's no games to rent. The fact of the matter is they did patent this. They patent this licensing structure, just the same as they patent the Blu-ray. You know, people were going up about that. Blu-ray has this anti-piracy where if it doesn't have a digital confirmation that it is an actual legitimate Blu-ray DVD or Blu-ray disc, it would downsample the video. And this had to be done through a digital interface such as HDMI. So people go, well, what about PlayStation 3? The what I like to call the Tard pack, the cheaper version, whatever you want to call it, the poor boy. It doesn't have HDMI, so people are like, well, what's going to happen when they enforce the licensing on Blu-ray? Am I not going to be able to watch it in true high def?
You're not going to be able to play your Blu-ray DVDs.
It doesn't have the digital confirmation.
Exactly.
It's patented by PlayStation 3 and by Sony, but they didn't say they were going to use it. So that's the gray area where you don't really know why they patent it if they're not going to use it. But at the same time, I guess they may decide to use it down the road. Who knows?
The first time I heard this rumor, I was actually really worried for Sony's sake. I thought they were actually digging their own graves. This was going to be the end of Sony's powerhouse in the game console market. Doing this would absolutely destroy, the support behind them in the game community, because most people they start playing the games by renting them so they can try them out and everything like that. Yeah. And a lot of people can't afford these what now is going to be $60, maybe even $70 games, and so they have to go to their GameStop
secondhand.
Yeah, exactly, and buy them used. And it's actually a pretty good deal, but also on eBay. You're turning eBay game sales into a black market, and there's a lot of legalities there that a lot of people are just going to backfire on Sony for releasing all these licenses. Now, I was relieved, though, to hear that Sony is actually not going to do this licensing. So let's hope that they actually let's hope that they stay on track.
Let's hope that's what it is. I really hope so. The problem is in their defense, well, not necessarily in their defense, they're not actually doing it, but in the defense of this structure, game developers and publishers actually do lose money on used game sales. They actually lose a lot of money. It takes a nice chunk out of their profits because they don't get money back out of a used game. They only get money. The way I see that being fixed is only two ways. Either do the licensing rule, but you have to have it universal. Microsoft has to do it, Nintendo has to do it, Sony has to do it. They would all have to jump on that bandwagon at the same time. If only one of them does it, then everyone's going to go buy a 360.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I can buy used games and stuff, so I can rent games, I'm getting a 360. So they would either have to do it at once or not at all for the one person who did it not to suffer horribly. And the other way of doing it is to make a law or a structure where publishers get a percentage of used game sales. So
similar to MP3s.
Exactly. They would have to get a percentage of that whenever they rebuy it, which that would be very hard to regulate and control. So it's, what happens whenever I sell you my used game of table tennis or whatever.
There's no formal transaction, so there's no ability to record that transaction.
Right.
Like MP3s, you're able to download from a server. That server is tracked, and a certain percentage of that money is actually going to go to the producers of that song. However, with especially with eBay and user-to-user transactions, you're not going to be able to record that, and that's going to be going around the law, and that's going to be illegal. And Sony really needs to not do this licensing.
And unfortunately, developers, publishers are just going to have to take the hit on the chin for now. There's really no perfect solution at the moment. All right, moving on. Interesting article about Sony. They're defending themselves about everyone claiming, "Oh, you just copied off of Nintendo with your controller."
Oh yeah.
Why don't you go into depth on that?
Well, this was originally posted on GameStop, but it was brought to our forums by LOL. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce that right, or maybe Law.
I think it's LOL.
It could be one of those leet hacks or writing, with the lines on the other side. But anyways, Sony is coming out and saying, since they've gotten a lot of criticism, especially from E3, about, maybe they're copying off of Nintendo. Maybe they came out with this, motion sensing DualShock controller at the last minute just to kind of strike back and say, hey, Nintendo's not the only ones doing this. Sony has actually come out and said that they've been developing this for years and that they're not copying off of Nintendo. However, what they do say is that they actually go back in time and say, if anyone's copying anyone, it's Nintendo copying off of us because of 3D gaming on consoles.
Yeah.
which I think is pretty childish. I mean,
because no one saw 3D gaming coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it was actually pointed out by one of our users that Nintendo 64 and PlayStation were perhaps copying off of PC gaming because the first 3D gaming was actually on, PCs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone copies off everybody in the video game industry. It's not necessarily an insult, but, we just thought it was funny that Sony seems so desperate.
Oh, yeah, it did seem pretty desperate because, they didn't have any prior information on any type of motion sensing. And, it did kind of look rushed because if you see the demos.
It was rushed. It was.
Yeah. Apparently to them, they've been working on it for years now, but it looked very rushed because if you saw that demo of Warhawk, he looked like he had no idea how to control it. And it was his own product.
They said actually that they had a week and a half to work on that. The developers at Warhawk actually said they had a week and a half before E3 that they made that. So there you go.
With that, it kind of sounds like Sony's telling, maybe not lies, but kind of leading us on that they've already had this technology. Maybe they already had the technology, but I don't think they were actually, going after it.
Yeah.
I think they may have thought it was kind of a stupid technology. Maybe it was kind of more of a gimmick until the Wii actually showed that, this could actually be used for something. This could be something exciting, something new that people are going to want.
Well, it was funny. Another comment out of that story was at the very end there, Harrison, the PlayStation 3 is a computer. We do not need the PC.
Oh, yeah. See, that's just showing Sony is so, full of themselves.
That's so ridiculous. It's not even...
They're top spot in everything because they're saying...
Whatever.
What brought that on was mainly the web browser and also the ability to look up websites like MySpace and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They're saying, no, you don't need a computer. You're going to need our PlayStation 3. And that's it.
Oh, man. I'll believe it when I see it, And even if it does happen, I'm not... No. That's my denial speaking, but... Long live the Dreamcast.
Personally, I would not like to see use a game console for purely... web browsing. I'll use my computer for that because it's more traditional. I like my mouse and keyboard and everything like that. But
it's too PC. Long live PC. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. Even for gaming or just practical use in general. I'm not going to do my internet and email on my PlayStation 3. And if I do end up doing that, then I guess I have a lot to answer for. But
Sony has already tried this with the Sony PSP, but they kind of failed because they tried to do everything in one. They tried to make it a music, movie player, games. It's got web browser. It's got all these features, but no one uses it. Is this going to be the same thing with the PlayStation 3? You know, they got this web browser. They got some other new features that we haven't heard of yet. Are people actually going to want this, or is this just kind of more of a gimmick to sell this console and to sell their peripherals?
Who knows? It'll be interesting to see how this pans out. But yeah, it is. It's kind of it's just more of the same. It's what we've been seeing from Sony lately, and maybe we'll see a change sometime. I'm hopeful. I'm
hoping for a change because I've always been a fan of Sony up until this point.
I mean, we're not going to be starting the PS Wii podcast anytime soon, but I am hopeful that it will turn out. It'll turn out good. So we'll see how it goes. People will buy it regardless. There's people out there who will buy it. I'll probably buy it. So,
but that is the problem. I see a problem in that too because of the fact that a lot of people are going to buy this just because it has the PlayStation name. Blindly, they're going to buy this.
Right.
They don't know what they're getting into. That's why I'm hoping that this podcast reaches some of those Sony fanboys so that they, become informed on what this console actually holds, and so maybe they'll still buy it, but maybe they'll buy it knowing what they're getting.
Right. We'll have a conversion.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm ultimately hoping.
Yeah.
But like you, I will probably be buying all three. Well, nonetheless.
Because I'm just a consumer whore. What can I say?
Oh, yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah, if it's got buttons and flashing lights, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I don't have any values whatsoever, but I'll just probably buy it anyway. It's just
I don't have any values.
All right. So... Well, that was a very nice show. We covered a lot there, more than we thought we were. Just a lot to talk about. And
a rather smooth show.
Go ahead. I hope everyone enjoyed this show. Please let us know what you thought. Any of our comments that we made that you find a complete travesty and you think is horrible, you just leave us some comments on our forum topic. Is travesty? Can I say travesty? Does that make sense? Is that the right definition?
I think we might as well just start making up words on this show.
I'm pretty sure travesty is right. I just don't know if that fits right there. I'm trying to sound smart, but...
Oh, you are sounding smart. Indubitably.
And there we go.
No, but seriously, guys, we love to hear feedback. We don't even care if it's you guys, bashing us for such a horrible show.
Go for it.
We want to hear it because, we want to make this show really good. We want to make it for you guys especially. Yeah. So anything that you guys can add, anything that you guys can provide, go for it. We would love to hear it.
If you think Brian's a complete tool, which we all know he is, then
come on.
Just tell him we know that. So keep that to yourselves. But we hope you enjoyed it. We hope we can continue to do this podcast and represent your community and that we are too a part of and just make everyone happy. Hope we have a nice complete package all around goodness for everyone. And to end the show, we have a little treat, don't we?
Oh, yeah, we do. We got actually one of our users. Who is it again?
Decker Shadow. Or it's without a W, so it may be... I don't know. It could be Shadow, but I think it's Shadow.
Okay.
Decker Shadow. He made a little Wii60 song. And if you're into the whole Wii60, you'll probably get a kick out of it. I know I did.
Oh, this was absolutely hilarious. I mean, as soon as the music started kicking in, I was laughing.
If you are a Queen fan, you may not want to listen to this. You may be a little disgruntled, but if you have a good sense of humor, it's all good and fun.
So what have you got for us? PlayStation 3 is the best-of-breed computer entertainment platform. And make no mistake, PlayStation 3 is the most ambitious project we at Sony Computer Entertainment have ever undertaken in our very short history. It requires huge financial investment, $599 US, but we must take risks to reap the rewards. The essence of the PlayStation DNA is real change, and the consumers are ready. It's Ridge Racer.
Sony, you're insane, made a big price, get a 360 and a Wii for the same price tag. Giant enemy crab flipped on his back, attack weak point for massive damage. Wii60 will rock you.
We sent a message and the message was clear.
Wii60 will rock you.
And the impact was immediate.
Sony, you copy innovation. 6 degrees of free just to fly in Warhawk. Okay, we has full 3D space. You lost the race. 360 just expanded marketplace. Wii60 will rock you.
The next generation doesn't start
Wii60 will rock you.
until we say it does.
Sony, you're arrogant. No man won't see through your lies. Gonna make you bankrupt today. No one wants to ridge race. We want good games. Wii60 has got it all, and you're just Blu-ray. Wii60 will rock you.
So here's this giant enemy crab.
Wii60 will rock you.
He shows up.
Wii60 will rock you.
Attack its weak point
Wii60 will rock you.
for massive damage. Real-time weapon changes and real-time characters.
And we're certainly not interested in gimmicks, clever rhetoric, or conventional thinking.
The graveyard of any industry is filled with the headstones of companies who decided to keep doing things the same old way.
It's Ridge Racer! Ridge Racer! Whoops. Whoops. Whoops.